Hi there, friends. Today I'm heading up to Redeemer Lutheran School to conduct chapel, and I thought the lesson that was given to me is one that we can all learn from. So I thought I'd share with you some of the thoughts that I'm going to share later. Because I think we are all starting, maybe at this time, to either feel pandemic fatigue, or we've gotten used to the new normal. Maybe you've gotten used to the new dress code. After all, it used to be when you would go to a business, it was no shirt, no shoes, no service. But now it's pretty much everywhere we go. If it's no mask, you have a temperature or a cough, it's no service and you can't even go in. But even before COVID, we were used to wearing certain clothing for different events or occasions or places. Maybe you had a team uniform that you would wear when playing a sport, so everyone on the team would know that it was you on their team, and they would pass the ball instead of to the opposing team. You might wear an old pair of clothes to change the oil or to work out in. Children might have a particular set of clothes for school, or maybe you have a set of nice clothes for church. And if you've ever gone to a wedding or attended a wedding, you've maybe had to wear something like a fancy suit or a dress or a tuxedo, and people went all out to make sure that you looked the best you could for the pictures. I want to read you some select verses from a parable Jesus told about a wedding and their clothing in Matthew 22. Jesus spoke to them again in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his servants to those who had been invited to the banquet to tell them to come, but they refused to come. Then he said to his servants, 'The wedding banquet is ready, but those I invited did not deserve to come. Go to the street corners and invite to the banquet anyone you find.' So the servants went out to the streets and gathered all the people they could find, both good and bad, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes. 'Friend,' he asked, 'how did you get in here without wedding clothes?' The man was speechless." So you see, people have always wanted to look their best for attending a wedding. And in those days, a wedding could last a couple of days. And in the story, Jesus tells how the first guests that were invited to the wedding, they all gave excuses for why they couldn't come. So the king sends out his servants to invite people from the streets to come in and gives them even a set of wedding clothes so they could be dressed for the occasion. Now, this is really only a story, but it's meant to get us thinking about our own lives when it comes to what God has done for us. Well, the king in the lesson, of course, well, that's God, and the son is Jesus, and the one who gets invited to the wedding, well, that's all of us. But those who refuse to come, well, in Jesus' day, it would have been the religious leaders who really didn't think they needed Jesus. And still today, there are sadly many people who don't think they need Jesus as part of their lives. But our God, well, he wants us to be part of his eternal kingdom, in spite of who we really are. Because by nature, we are really walking around with some pretty shabby clothes that are covered in sin. And we can't do anything about it on our own either. We can't begin to clean ourselves up so that maybe we can look good enough, because that doesn't work. But our Savior Jesus can make us more than good enough. In fact, he makes us perfect and clean. He did that by coming into this world wrapped up as a little baby in rags, living his life just like us, but perfectly, then dressed in a purple robe and a crown of thorns as he gave his life later that day on the cross. But 3 days later, to break free from death and to live and reign over everything forever. And now we're clothed with Jesus' perfection, and every time God looks at us, he sees what Jesus did for us. And he's given us the privilege to come into that eternal wedding banquet of heaven. And those are the best wedding clothes you'll ever wear. So wear your Savior's righteousness with thanksgiving by letting your face shine out, whether you're playing on the field or cleaning the house or studying at school or hanging out with friends and neighbors or here worshiping at church. Now, a quick look ahead. On Saturday, our women's ministry is meeting at 9:30 a.m. and they'll begin their Bible study looking at the women of the Bible as they look at Eve. Also join us this Sunday online or in person at 8 or 10 as we worship our Savior and we see the expectations our God has when it comes to his vineyard and the care and the work that he has put in to make us ready to bear fruit. We're also studying the book of Revelation in between our services at 9 o'clock. So be safe out there, take care, stay healthy, and God bless.